The readings for Wednesday, March 15th. The first Old Testament reading is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verses 12 through 20. But it shall come to pass, when the Lord has completed all he will do on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, he will go against the arrogant heart of the king of the Assyrians, and the glory of his haughty looks. For he said, I shall act in my strength, and by the wisdom of my understanding. I also shall remove the boundaries of the nations, and plunder their strength. I shall shake their inhabited cities. I shall overtake with my hand all the inhabited world as a nest, and take them as eggs that have been left. There is no one who can escape or oppose me. Shall the axe glorify itself without him who chops with it? Or shall the saw exalt itself without him who saws with it? It is likewise if one should lift a rod or a piece of wood. But it shall not be so, for the Lord of hosts will send dishonor against your honor, and he will kindle a burning fire against your glory. So the light of Israel will be as fire, and he will sanctify him with burning fire, and it will devour the wood like grass on that day. The mountains, the hills, and the forests will be consumed, and devour both soul and body, and he who flees will be like one fleeing from a burning flame. Then the remnant will be few in number, and a child shall write them. It shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and those of Jacob who were saved will never again obey those who wronged them, but they will trust in God, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. All right, everybody. Got some footnotes from the Orthodox Study Bible. Just looks like one footnote, really. And it's for chapter 10, verses 5 through 20. So a handful of verses before where we started here today. Just FYI. It says that, this is again for verse 5 through 20. Isaiah predicts the coming attack by the Assyrians and their defeat using the siege on Jerusalem. He also reminds the people that God, not Assyria, controls history, as noted in verse 14. The light of Israel, found in verse 17, that will sanctify God's people, speaks poetically of the Holy Spirit. The second Old Testament reading is from the book of Genesis, chapter 7, verses 6 through 9. Now Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came on the earth. Then Noah, with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, entered the ark because of the flood waters. Also the clean and unclean birds, the clean and unclean cattle, and everything that creeps on the earth, entered with Noah into the ark, 2 by 2, male and female, as God commanded him. All right, short little reading today. So, for this exact passage, verses 6 through 9, it says that this passage is read during Wednesday Vespers in the third week of Great Lent. You guys already know it. That, of course, is today. Wow. And for verse 9, Noah was a righteous man because he found the grace of the Holy Spirit, through which man becomes righteous. He was perfect because through the grace of the Holy Spirit, he obeyed everything God told him to do, as noted in chapter 6, verse 22. His righteous living was well-pleasing to God. The third Old Testament reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verses 12 through 18. My son, if you become wise in yourself, you shall also be wise toward your neighbor. But if you prove to be evil, you alone will go through troubles. He who supports himself with lies will shepherd winds and chase flying birds. For he abandoned the ways of his own vineyard and strayed from the paths of his own farming. And he will pass through a waterless desert, a land assigned to drought, and he gathers barrenness with his hands. A woman in need of a morsel is without discernment and overbold. She has no sense of shame. She sits upon the doors of her own house, upon a seat openly in the streets, calling to those who pass by and who go straight along their paths. It's kind of a weird place to end. I'm going to read the next two verses anyways, just because, it says, calling to, and who go straight along their path, calling to those who pass by and go straight in their paths, comma, and then there's a quote. So this is what she calls out. I'll just read those two verses. Quote, "He who is lacking in discernment, let him turn aside to me. And he who is in need of discernment, I exhort, saying, grasp with pleasure the secret bread and the sweet water of theft." So, yeah, that's what she calls to those who pass by. All right, some footnotes for the Orthodox from the Orthodox Study Bible now. So, for this exact passage, verses 12 through 18, man, you guys can already finish my own sentence, I'm pretty sure of it. This passage is read during Wednesday Vespers in the third week of Great Lent. You know what day that is. And that's it for that one, actually. No other footnotes. And you got some bonus 2 verses. So, that's going to do it, though. I got to get on with my day. Hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful Wednesday. Hopefully you're going to pre-sanctified liturgy today, if you can. Whether you do or don't, just please say a prayer for me, a sinner, and I will catch back up with you all tomorrow. Thanks.